It's time for Dart Talk. Brought to you by thedartzone.com. Stay in the zone. TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor, and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics, and Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
Dart Talk carries the Internet Broadcast Rating TVD, a broadcast that is specifically designed to be viewed or heard by the darting community, and therefore may be incomprehensible to other lesser mammals. Darter discretion advised.
Okay, welcome to Dart Talk.
Welcome.
June something.
12th, I believe.
It's a Wednesday, I know that.
It is June 12th.
Welcome to Dart Talk, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts.
Yes.
We're missing somebody.
We are. Chat room girl, unfortunately, could not make it.
Stuck in the derecho.
Derecho.
In the derecho. That's a technical term I did not invent. I don't care what it means in Spanish,
Right.
but I know it's a big storm.
Yeah. She had to work late, and then she just couldn't get here. I mean, we're in the cusp of possibly something nasty, so it's a good thing that nobody needs to be out there driving in this.
As long as it doesn't, like, the United Center's okay, and it doesn't affect the Blackhawks or kill our internet
They canceled
connection.
baseball, which is outside, but they're not going to cancel an inside hockey game.
Well, it's not going to make the ice melt or
Right.
something like that. Anyway, thanks everybody around the world in the chat room. We should have a good show for you today. Lord knows.
So, yeah, but our chat room girl, Sassy, is in the chat room. She's going to be running the chat room remotely from home.
Right, and we'll do our best to follow along. If you have something that really needs quoting, just put a big ding in uppercase right before whatever it is you type in the chat room, and we will try to quote you accurately.
Well, hopefully I see it.
Got a lot to get to. A very busy weekend in darts this weekend and next weekend. We had the UK Open, which I got a chance to watch a lot of over the weekend. The Canadian Nationals are going on right now, and they were live streaming their final. The American National Championship is live streaming this week. Oh, wait. We don't have one.
Oh.
Okay. Well, so outside, the fact that we don't have an American national championship that's streaming, that kind of bummer about that. And then also, Darts Live is in France.
I did not know that.
This weekend, yeah. So
some weird, wild stuff. I did not.
Weird, wild stuff. And we're going to get to the, we promised to go into the ideal organizational.
My hat looks, I told you, you asked me why I needed a new hat. Somebody just said my hat looks like it's been through a storm. I don't know. I've had
your hat that?
A couple comments that I need a new hat.
Well, because, we upgraded the camera, and now
is
people can
see
how lame
see
your
how
hat,
bad it is?
It's not much worse than it was before.
Anybody wants to send a nice, felt cowboy hat or whatever this way?
What, you want a Stetson?
Yeah, sure.
Really? You live outside Chicago. What's with the cowboy? You're not in Montana.
How often do I wear this anyway?
Oh, I'm telling you. I got the playoff beard going, but it's really scratchy.
Yeah.
So the deal is when they lose 3 games in a series, I trim it. That's been working.
Okay.
So hopefully I won't have to trim it.
The playoff beard supposed to encompass the whole.
Yeah, I'm doing the best I can. I'm not like Alec Baldwin in the Growing Beard contest, whatever that commercial is. But can I say I'm as God made me. Yeah, we're going to have to talk about the ADO at some point today.
Actually, on that note, though, should we get this out of the way? So
let's disclaim any and all.
Oh, yeah, we'll do the disclaimer first, and then I'll come back with what I was going to say.
Here's an entertaining 36 seconds for the new listeners.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on Dart Talk do not necessarily reflect the thoughts or opinions of the hosts, our sponsors, any official Dart sanctioning organization, and post hoc ergo propter hoc, any and all spelunkers, debunkers, raconteurs, roustabouts, technocrats, hepcats, cat ladies, Lady Gaga, the Four Seasons, the Three Stooges, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, hipsters, kibitzers, hellions, the fickle finger of fate, or Tom Waits. Any remarks resembling anyone living or dead is purely coincidental and in no way represent Mother Earth, Father Time, Aunt Marilyn, Uncle Fester, all organized religions, independent contractors, official friends of the show, the North America Professional Dart Alliance, the Undead, the Grateful Dead, or Sharon D. Butler.
Okay, so we disclaim pretty much everything, right?
But just real quick, we were talking about this a little bit ago. We got the Stanley Cup first game tonight.
Yeah,
they are going to play next Wednesday as well.
So we're going to move the show next Wednesday.
We
won't be here.
Not going to have the show.
We'll be here Tuesday.
We will be here Tuesday.
We'll be here Tuesday. We'll do a wrap-up of the Canadian National Championship. We'll do a wrap-up of the Darts Live in France.
Mm-hmm.
You and I, and hopefully Chat Room Girl can make it. We haven't cleared Tuesdays on her busy social. I don't know if she plays League on Tuesdays.
Yes, for we as
we.
Yes.
Oh, I got French. Right, got it. Oh my God. Yeah, I got a lot to say, but
anyway,
let's get to the news first.
So
that's a good.
Next Tuesday we will be on the air, not next Wednesday. So.
Right, we're going to move to Tuesdays just for next week, just in honor of
by the Blackhawks,
greatest hockey team in the history of great hockey teams.
Yeah,
our boys. Let's hope they can win tonight.
Today, then?
Well, we could talk UK Open, which is a different kind of tournament than the normal PDC ones. They were streaming it, so I got a chance to watch a lot of the matches, and Phil Taylor ended up victorious. Spoiler alert for anybody that didn't watch it. But the thing that they do that
you're good at that spoiler alert thing.
After I spoil it.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, keep going.
I forget what is it. It's not extreme unction. It's ex post facto. Ex post facto apology. No. The thing about the UK Open, there's two things that make it unique among PDC tournaments. One is that BDO players are allowed to play.
All right.
I'm not sure. I would have loved to have been in the room when the BDO and the PDC got together and decided.
Why are they allowed to play in that, though?
Well, that's a good question. I would assume it's because it's the national championship.
Of what?
Of the UK.
Okay.
It's the UK
So
Open.
Therefore they make an exception?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they got Dutch players in there. Yeah, I don't. Believe me, don't ask me to explain anything that the BDO does.
Right. It's just they make their own rules, so therefore they've decided that
it's in their bylaws that they can make any rule at any time, and you have to stand for it. Right. I don't know why anybody would, but I don't live in the UK, so I don't really care what the BDO does. I care what they do in America, but we're going to get to that.
We will get to that.
Anyway, the UK Open, BDO players were allowed to play. Also, what they do is every round they redraw. So if you're the 1 seed, you could literally play the 2 seed in the first round.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting. So there were some great matches, some compelling matches.
Kind of a little bit unfair?
Well, I'm not sure why they. I don't know why they do it this way, but they do it this way. I don't know.
Because really, if you draw, it doesn't really matter whether you're 1-2. You're just drawing anyway, so it doesn't matter whether you have a number in front of your name.
I do not know what the logic is here, and I don't know what negotiations went about to create it in this format, but it does make it different. And, to be honest, seeing Van Gerwen and Taylor play in the round of 8 is sort of like, why are you playing the final now? But it does give other people an opportunity to strut their stuff, so to speak.
Okay.
And at least it's different.
But at that point, you don't need to put a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in front of anybody's name. Because
well, no. It's kind of
just a draw.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. It kind of is sort of a blind draw format.
Yeah.
And they do it kind of at the end of one round. They'll just, they had a guy with pulling ping pong balls out of a bag. Now, if you wanted to rig something like that, it'd be very easy to do. You put some a little nail polish lump on one. You put one in a freezer. You could rig this if you really wanted to. Anyway, I don't know why you would bother. But the Final Four turned out to be, I don't know. It was all over after Taylor played Van Gerwen in the round of 8. I mean, it was something. There's a story.
Yeah, but he almost got beat before that.
Oh, yeah, Brendan Dolan had him cold. In the round of 16, Brendan Dolan had 2 darts at a double to beat him and dead center outside wire on both of them and literally leaning over the wire. Click, click. And it was just sort of funny. And then Taylor goes up, 1 dart at a double, dead center, and, then he threw like an 11 darter. to seal it, seal the deal. And it was a great 11 darter, as all 11. I've never seen a bad 11 darter.
Really.
I mean, I managed to slop in ton 80, ton 40. Gee, sorry about that. Those you don't really see. The one match that I really wanted to see that I didn't see was Ronnie Baxter play Jelle Klaasen. And you don't know this, and for the people that haven't watched the UK Open, it's a weird tournament insofar as they have matches being played simultaneously on different boards. So in a sense, it runs kind of like an ADO tournament. Where a normal PDC tournament, there's only one board that you see, and it's just match after match after match after match, and generally you play once a day, right? Once you get to like the TV rounds and stuff like that. Where here, on Sunday, you had to play the quarter, and if you advanced, you had a break, and then you had to play the semi, and then if you advanced, you played the final right after that. So it's 3 matches in one day that the finalists have to play.
All right.
So it's just a whole different deal. And the one match I really wished I saw was Jelle Klaasen, who's a Dutch guy, fast player, and Ronnie Baxter, fast player. Apparently, they played either 13 or 16 legs in 29 minutes. That's
awesome.
How can you not want to watch that? We were talking about slow play and deliberate and phantom darts. Try that.
Yeah.
Somebody try that. Because I did it one time. I was out on the playing in the Southside Dart League in Chicago, which I played 3 or 4 seasons. And there's one guy there. He's a decent player. Plays about as fast as anybody I've ever seen. And I ended up playing him.
The guy's got to be throwing his dart when you're pulling your last one, practically.
Oh, I mean, you just have the minute a dart is out of his hand, he's reloaded and throwing. And so we're playing cricket, which you know how I feel about cricket. So I'm kind of like, he throws his darts, he grabs them, he comes back, and I'm like, I wonder if I could play that fast. And it's hard for me to get the dart into my hand and set up that fast, but I played as fast as I could. And it was fun. You don't have any time to think. It's just like boom, 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 boom. So if you're a player out there that too much thinking is a problem, try playing quicker.
Faster, right? Yeah.
You don't have time to think. I mean, you need to know what you're doing.
Well,
you know what I mean? I mean, but outside of that, it would be a cure, I think, for some people to just literally play faster. Play as fast as you can for 3 weeks and see what that does for you.
Right.
Do it in your league matches and stuff because there's a little more pressure on you at that, and it'll give you a little better gauge of like if it helps you or not, as opposed to just doing it on the side somewhere.
Anything you could take out of the mental aspect away from it, so you don't sit there and think about what you have to do and if your elbow's flying or if you're not releasing it correctly,
if
whatever,
you've got thoughts like that, playing quicker might really help. Yeah, absolutely. That was one thing. The semis and the finals of the UK Open.
Jelle is slowed down.
Well, I didn't get a chance to see the match, but 13 or 16 legs is in 29 minutes is
fast.
That's spectacular. That's spectacular from a speed standpoint. My impression of the final and the semi was basically, it reminded me of the Tyson-Leon Spinks fight, which you got to go way back.
Yeah, way
if you
back.
remember that.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
what they 88 or something?
It's pretty far back.
Yeah.
I think I was like 3 years old, but I do remember it very well. No, but
I don't think you were 3.
The idea with the UK Open was that there's a 2-hour delay between the end of the quarters and the beginning of the semis. So in that 2 hours, somehow everyone quit, and there was no way Phil was going to be beaten. And it reminded me of the thing where I guess what happened, or no, it was Michael Spinks and Tyson. I watched it in somebody's living room. We all chipped in like $5 to pay for like the $60 paper, or it was 90. It was like 90 seconds.
Yeah.
And what had happened, I found out later, was that in the locker room, Tyson was so geeked up for the fight that he was beating on the lockers, screaming at the top of his lungs, and Spinks came out absolutely petrified that he had to fight this guy, and it was over. It was over in the locker room before he even got into the ring, and that's the impression I got when Taylor played the semi and the final. I mean, these guys went up there literally convinced that there was absolutely no way they were going to win. And I don't know if Taylor was in the practice room throwing like 10 straight ton 80s or what the deal was, but I mean, it was all over. And even Van Gerwen did not look convinced that he belonged on the same stage as Taylor. Although the first, I want to say 5 legs of the Van Gerwen-Taylor match, they were both averaging close to 110. Mm-hmm. They were playing great. And then, I don't know, Van Gerwen kind of went away. And it was kind of funny. I posted something about, well, I'm not going to read all my Facebook posts. There's been a lot the last few days.
Right.
But what the point that I did make, and what Van Gerwen will eventually learn, because I think that he will end up being a world champion at some point after Taylor retires, maybe, or maybe he'll win it.
I don't know.
We'll see.
Well,
Taylor went back to his old darts.
Yeah, he had a good record against him the last 3 matches.
Yeah. Short format stuff, but come the World Championship when it's really something, you know, Taylor took care of him pretty. Yeah, it wasn't easy, but it wasn't all that. 7-4 is not like by a nose,
right?
You know what I mean? The and Taylor did go back to his old darts, which I was saying
Yes,
he should have done that a long time ago. And I don't know about these rumors that he's going to go to Target or whatever. I mean, anybody would be silly to let Taylor go. If Unicorn was smart, they'd give Taylor a piece of the company, which may be what he's asking. I mean, who knows?
Well, that's very possible too.
I don't know about that, but the I lost my train of thought. I'm babbling on here.
So yeah, I mean, basically you're talking about the end. Basically, everybody gave up before the last 2 matches. Taylor had it won, and that was it. Put on a show, and
and the thing about Van Gerwen, and the point that I made to everybody that people seem to like was that. Darts is more than just mastering the board. You have to master yourself, and I think that's the one lesson that Van Gerwen, needs to learn.
Will eventually get.
Yeah, when things aren't going your way, do you get emotional? Do you pout? Do you start chucking your darts? All these things. Do you quit? All these things you have to weed out of your system to be a top player. And to Taylor's credit, Taylor's in there banging no matter what. He's convinced that he's still in there even when it's pretty obvious. Okay, I got to win 8 straight legs. I mean, obviously, he's not going to win, but he's not chucking his darts. And I've seen him chuck darts maybe twice. Once when he busted, he threw his extra darts at the board. I'm like, wow, check that out. It's kind of unprofessional, but whatever. Let's take our first break and we'll be back. You're listening to Dart Talk with Mark, Steve. Chat room girls in the chat room remotely from, I don't know, wherever
she lives.
Somewhere in planet Earth. And we'll be right back. Okay, back for the second quarter. Dart Talk brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks our hosts, Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts.
Absolutely.
And where were we? What are we talking about?
I think we were just done with the UK Open, but you wanted to talk about the Canadian Open.
Well, yeah,
or the Canadian National Championship.
Well,
I
yeah,
should
because
say, right?
here they are streaming the finals live. Mm-hmm. What a concept! Streaming something.
It's amazing.
It just aggravates
Is it possible?
me.
Can
Apparently,
you do it?
it's possible in other countries outside of America.
Well,
because in America, you're not allowed to do it.
We don't have the technological.
Well, we don't have a national championship either, but
Oh.
that's going to change. We'll have one next February. No, but the Canadian National Championship was nice, and the thing that they did differently, because like you've seen this stuff being streamed, like Darts Live streams it.
Mm-hmm.
They actually had Tammy Pody and another woman kind of commentating on the match, which was, I thought they did a pretty good job because, they had like one camera on the board and another camera on the players, and then they had the score board superimposed under the players,
right.
But at some point the score froze. So they managed to kind of deal with that.
Right.
Well, no, obviously the score's frozen. So one of the girls was like, okay, well, he's on 64.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And he's, and I thought they did, a pretty good job. So they're going to be streaming it the rest of the week. And I'll post a link on the Dart Talk Facebook page.
They're going to be streaming what? It's over.
Well, no, it's like an 8-day thing.
Oh.
The Canadian Nationals. They have team events. They have singles events. Tomorrow is like the mixed doubles championship of Canada.
Oh, okay. I thought but the
stuff like
singles
that.
event is over, right?
There's more than one.
Oh, all right.
So Ken McNeil beat Norm Tremblay 5-3 in the men's final today.
Is that considered the national championship?
Yeah.
So that was that's the biggest event, but they still have like 6 events after.
Well,
that?
yeah, because they also have the Canadian Open.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have a team competition with the provinces playing each other. So
Wouldn't
there's
you
a team
have
from
the
Ontario.
event at the end, though? Isn't it the biggest thing to be the Canadian national champion? Wouldn't you have that as the last event?
Well, but the Canadian Open, I think, is the last event.
Oh.
So then you've won the Canadian Open. I mean, it's all good. I mean,
what's the
I don't
difference?
know.
What's the difference if you won the Canadian national championship but lose the Canadian Open?
I don't know. You'd have to ask a Canadian. Well,
which one's better?
We'll get somebody on next week to explain it. I think they're all good, to be honest with you. I mean,
they are.
I don't want to give back any of the events I've won. Although, according to like some people, I've never won an event.
Right.
But then, I don't know where all those plaques and trophies came from.
I personally want clarification. Which is more meaningful, the
We should
Canadian
get
National
that.
Championship or the Canadian Open?
We should get that. I think the Canadian Open is probably more, but I don't know.
Okay.
So we have to get a Canadian on here to
help.
And
us out.
there's
To help
probably
me
none
out.
in the chat room because they're all probably sleeping from playing all day.
Right.
No, but they have provincial championships and all this stuff. So it just, the idea of, instead of like doing it the way we do it in America, where it's like, well, the cricket's in January and the 501's in August, and they're in different parts of the country, just have one big championship.
What was the format that McNeil won on?
Best of 9.
Best of 9.
Yeah, alternate start 501. Took out a 93.
Is that what the format was in Chicago? Because he lost to John Part in Chicago.
That was best of 11.
Best of 11.
Yeah,
he was up
what?
5-0.
He was up 5-0 to Part.
Yeah.
And they were both furious.
It
that
was
they
the
had
first
to play,
round.
That they had to play each other in the first round because the top 2 Canadians were going to get paired together in the world team thing that the PDC does in February.
Right.
I forget what they call it, but whatever it was.
And then
they had
play
played
each other.
together. They'd played together a bunch of times, and they're basically going to. One of them is going to get knocked out, kind of, because last year there were only 3 events, right?
Right.
So, McNeil's up 5-0, ends up losing 6-5.
6-5.
Part ends up winning the thing, and I think Part ended up playing with Jeff Smith, who's a great player. But it was just sort of like, because I remember we talked to both of them were like, you got to be kidding me.
One of them had no chance of even remotely playing in that
team and had they used seedings, they wouldn't have played each other because they were both on the PDC money list.
Right.
If they would have taken all the players at that event and used the existing PDC money list, they would have both been seeded, and they wouldn't have saw each other in the first round. But because it was now a new championship tour just for North America and everybody's starting from scratch, they weren't seeded.
Right.
So I know that bothered them. So, well,
so
whatever.
be it. It was
congrats to Ken McNeil.
Still an exceptional match.
Yeah, congrats to Ken McNeil for he took out a 93 with a double bull, single bull, fat 18, double bull.
Nice.
to
win the national championship.
To win the national championship is what I'm told it was. So, all right. And then congrats to Cindy Hayhurst. I didn't say party. It's her 5th.
Terry's wife?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's her 5th in a row.
Wow.
The women's national championship, which apparently no one's ever done. So congrats to her. And I know that
awesome.
Canadian women's field's very tough. So to win 5 in a row is like time to saran wrap her into the hotel room or something.
Yeah,
I'm thinking the women ought to do something.
Yeah.
Get her loaded. I don't know.
Wow.
Kind of interesting. But the idea, so, okay, I have to put you on the spot. So I enjoyed the streaming that they had. Now, the online webcam darts, you were supposed to play a couple of matches. You were supposed to investigate it.
I have investigated. I did not get to play this from last week to this week. I did not play a match.
Okay. Everything I'm hearing.
I wasn't supposed to. I said I was going to try to.
Homework. Everything I'm
I've
hearing.
never been good at homework.
Yeah,
right?
well. Everything I'm hearing about the online darts is that, people really like it. It's a good tool for improvement. Some people apparently take it overboard. I've heard some rumors that some people are giving themselves extra triples and stuff. I don't know if any of that is true, but what I'm curious about is the playing experience that you would get.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can do it for next week's show, because I want to get one of the webcam darts people on here. They want to come on the show.
It's now on record. I will play a match by next Tuesday.
We'll get one of the webcam people on the show because they want to talk up their league, and I'm interested in how you do this online dart league thing. I know the Sheltie does it. I don't know if any of the other soft hit people are doing it. So there's a trend of people playing remotely online matches, which, to be honest, I want to disqualify myself from talking about it objectively because I don't really like the idea of it. I can kind of see why you would do it for practice, but I can't see taking it seriously. Mm-hmm. So you can maybe disabuse me of that notion like other people have tried to do.
Maybe.
Right?
I'll see what I can do.
So will you try it? Right. I gave you a camera to set the thing up. You put the software in. Now you got to play.
Well, yeah, but it's not like I could keep the camera set up all the time. I got to break it down, then I got to put it back up.
Oh, you put the camera up, you plug the thing in, you turn on your laptop, you go in their little chat room, and you say, "Hey, who wants a game?" I mean, that's all I see on Facebook is people, "Hey, I'm on a G3 in 15 minutes if anybody wants to play."
Right.
It reminds me of when I was like an 8-year-old running around the neighborhood. I'd go to Mikey's house. "Yo, Mikey!" And you just like stand in a gangway and yell out. You pop, Mom says I can't play. Okay. See you tomorrow.
All right.
I mean, whatever.
I'll see what I can do. I will play a game.
Help me out
by
here.
Next Tuesday.
I'm disqualifying myself.
I know you are.
From any sort of like analysis of the webcam thing. I am totally leaving that in your hands.
Which is very rare for you to do.
I try to be fair, despite what like Dave Haskup and people on the ADO think that I'm out to get them. I'm really not. I try to be fair. I try to be objective, but there are principles that I adhere to.
Right.
Okay. We don't really have an agenda on this show. The only thing and I don't consider
the only agenda we have is just to make it through the hour,
which isn't easy. To make it through the hour with a minimum of dead air.
Yeah,
right.
Right. Exactly.
But look, I mean, the only I try to explain this to somebody. I don't really have an agenda on this show. People think the show's just me talking about myself and my dart game, which I don't know where they get that because I barely mention it. Keep an eye out for the dings there. But if I did have an agenda,
when it gets
okay, are we dinging?
When it gets to the bit about online webcam darts, come on, Mark, take the challenge and come have a go. I just said
come have a go. That's right. Go have a go.
Well, I can't right
now.
Have
a go at it.
I can't right now.
Well, he can't do it now. And log on as Mystery Marks. Everybody knows who you are. And maybe they'll give you an extra shot at a double. Or maybe they'll try to bury you. I don't know which.
I'll need either one. Either bury more or I'll need more than an extra shot.
Fair warning, Mystery Mark's a little bit rusty. I will vouch for the fact that he was a fine player when he played regularly, which now you play irregularly, and your game probably reflects that. Right. So, I mean, don't expect 9 darters from Mystery Mark, at least not the first couple legs.
Ever. Don't expect a 12, 15 darter
Oh,
from
my
me.
God. Well, because if it's like good and you think it's fun, I may do it.
Right.
So I'm relying on your okay, who's dinging now?
Dart Talk.
All right, well, you get that. I want to finish this one point that I wanted to make, though. As far as, like, the only agenda, I don't consider myself a dart promoter, right? Which, I'm just not. I mean, we do it. We try to cover a sport.
This is actually though, probably it's the best practice he's found so far at home, and still not as good as playing real matches under pressure face to face.
Okay, who's saying that?
Paul Gillespie.
Paul Gillespie. Okay,
and
that sounds about
that would
right.
Make sense to me. But it's also better than having. I haven't played yet, but the notion I got, the feeling I got from it, but just watching the games going in the lobby was that you can play, and it's a step up from just playing at home and practicing.
But you are playing at home. How is it a step up?
Because you're because you actually have a meaningful dart that you're throwing, as opposed to just going through your routine of hitting 25 triple 20s and 25.
Well, that's not the only thing I do, and
I know. But what I'm saying is, so you actually, in effect, have meaningful darts with doubles, and then maybe.
Well, that's the theory. You check it out and see if it's that way in practice.
All right.
Chet. Okay, she's just reminding people. The one thing I wanted to say about the if I have an agenda on this show. The only agenda that I really have and that I've ever had
would be probably to take a break first and then come back with.
Oh, sounds good. Let's take a break. I'll get a drink of water. You're listening to Dart Talk with Mark and Steve. Chat Room Girl is in the chat room, and we'll be back in a minute. Okay, back for the second half. You're listening to Dart Talk, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Redwood Darts and Windy City Fabricators. And where were we now?
Well, we just got done with
agenda.
We got done with the webcam darts. I'm going to play by next week, and then you
heard it here first.
Right, you started talking about your agenda.
Well, I don't really have an agenda, and I get accused of all sorts of things, which is fine. People have opinions. Not that I don't. The idea, though, here, the only thing that I'm for, is more opportunities for people to play.
Which could be classified as an agenda.
Okay, then that's my agenda. Right. I mean, we try to cover darts as a sport here. Mm-hmm. The idea is that it is a sport, and the more people realize it, the sooner we'll be on TV.
If somebody asked me what your agenda was, your agenda would be to make darts bigger, more known on TV, and make it more of a sport.
Absolutely.
That would be your agenda.
Okay.
In my mind.
Yeah.
My personal opinion.
My agenda is that, we end up having more first-class events in America, that we get outside sponsorship, and that we get television.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Once you're on television and people see the game, you will get more people playing. I mean, it's just there's and I posted this to somebody today. Anything that's in the way of this, or any person that's in the way of this, either needs to change their ways or disappear. That is my agenda.
Right. Speaking of posting, though, somebody asked me a question though that's saying that are steel tip darters smarter than
Oh, right.
I mean, I'm sorry,
right.
I said
Are soft tippers smarter
than steel tippers?
Okay, so
I wasn't exactly sure what the question
was,
because how can I quantify whether one person's smarter than the other?
This was me trying to be witty. Okay, because something happened on, I believe it was on Friday, that absolutely put me over the edge. Now, I have the one thing that I kind of always tweak the soft tippers with is that a soft tipper can't count. And the reason I always say that soft tippers can't count is because it seems to me that they don't really calculate how much money they spend in quarters and this and that and this and that. Mm-hmm. And some of the tournaments they go to, which I don't feel are like financially a good deal for players. So I kind of like mock that soft tippers can't count, because when you see a soft tipper play 501, they're over there like taking off their shoes and socks to count to see what they have left. I'm just kidding, guys. And I've never really attributed this sort of thinking to steel tippers, where, look, I don't understand why a soft tipper would support this tournament, and I don't understand why, they're giving operators all this money and they don't get anything back and la-di-da-di-da-di-da.
Right.
Okay, well, now we have an equivalent. I've come to the conclusion now there's an equivalent on the steel side as far as, like, the darters having myopia.
Okay.
And the darters being kind of, like, taken for a ride, maybe without their knowledge.
It or
Yeah. So this is going to be a long conversation, and this is not in any way brought on by any
we need
personal.
To run the disclaimer again, real quick. Just
probably. Well, no. Look, I have nothing against. Well, I mean, I can think of 3 people I have something against personally, and everybody else I'm pretty good with, And the 3 people that I have something against personally don't really have anything to do with darts. Okay, but the idea here.
I think Chat Room Girl's upset about that question.
She probably doesn't understand what I'm really going to say anyway. So, Chat Room Girl is a homer when it comes to soft tip.
She's taking offense that I would. She's thinking I'm actually saying that soft tippers are not smarter than steel tippers. All I'm saying is somebody posed a question to me. I didn't bring it up myself.
I posted it.
Well.
No, what I posted, I posted a link for the show a couple hours ago, and I said one of the questions we'll try to answer today is that, are soft tippers smarter than steel tippers?
I think Chat Room Girl's taking it out of context.
Because she's missed the pre-show fist fight and doesn't know what we're talking about. Yeah. So. But here's the reason I pose this is because the soft tippers don't have to deal with an organization as dysfunctional as the ADO.
Right.
Now,
what exactly is the ADO?
Okay, what the ADO is and what the
other
ADO,
than the American Darting Organization,
right? What the ADO is and what the ADO says they are 2 different things. So let me tell you what the ADO says they are.
All right.
The ADO says that they are a national organization that's supposed to promote darts in America and stuff like that. And they're supposed to sanction tournaments and come out with a newsletter and la-di-da-di-da. That's what they say. But right off the top of their bylaws is they say that they're supposed to be promoting darts.
Right.
They run 4 national events a year.
Don't they do that by at least putting out a newsletter?
Well, I think they canceled the newsletter, but they haven't updated their bylaws. But
all right.
Whatever. The newsletter wasn't really very well written.
Promoting anything anyway.
That's the other thing about darts is we don't have really the guys that write good about darts do it very infrequently and are sort of like Mike Royko kind of columnists. We don't have like sports writers covering darts, and I don't have time to do it. So I wish somebody who knew how to write would start writing like a sports writer about darts. Because even when I go on the PDC and I look at their like written reports on their matches, they're very dry, terse, and there's no sports writer behind it.
Need some context behind it.
Well, yeah, like any other sport, somebody who writes about the sport adds something to it. Remember The Natural where Robert Duvall's like talking to Robert Redford, and he's like, either way, you're going to make me a good story, win or lose. The stories get lost in all the coverage that you see like on the PDC's website and stuff. A lot gets lost. And it's kind of weird. We're still a word-of-mouth sport, so, you kind of hear things later, so-and-so said this, and it's kind of a rumor mill kind of thing, and you're never sure, if what you heard is true and stuff like that, although Taylor switching his darts, he said so himself. So at least they interview the guys after the match, and you can kind of, take whatever you want out of that. But the idea that soft tippers generally, like who's the number 1 ranked soft tipper in America? Nobody knows and nobody cares.
Right.
Nobody knows and nobody cares. I mean, it's sort of like these guys.
The soft tip darting community would care. I would.
No, they really don't, because if they did, they'd have had a system by now. They've been playing soft tip 20 years. All you know is what you've won. You know how much money you won. Now the Darts Live thing, they keep track because it's a series of events, and you get points, and you need so many points to get in the. So you could say that if you go by the Darts Live ratings, by the end of the year, you'll know who the number one soft tipper is because he's the guy that wins. And the PDC recognizes the fact that he's the top soft tipper because they're going to invite him to the World Championship. So last year, Paul Lim, who everybody knew because he came up in steel, got invited to the PDC World Championship, and he's the number one soft tipper in the world. Who will it be this year? I don't know. We'll see. They're playing stage 2 or 3 in France over the weekend. So we'll see. Right now, I would think Scotty Kirchner's got to be close to the top of the points list because he won the last stage, right? Who won stage 1? I think, I don't even remember who it was. I don't think it was an American. I think it was.
I have no idea.
I don't remember.
But anyway. Somebody might tell us here real quick.
But anyway, you have leagues that keep track of stats.
They call themselves the governing body of darts in the USA.
Well, that's what they say.
Right.
Now, let me tell you what they really are.
Okay.
What they are is a glorified dart league that doesn't really have their own leagues. What the ADO does is they piggyback off existing leagues and tax all the players in order to run these 4 events. They run a cricket championship, and it's not a national championship because it's not open to everybody. It's only open to ADO-affiliated members that pay their taxes. So what you basically have is a club tournament in January, which is for cricket. They have a club tournament in August in Stamford at the USA Dart Classic on that Friday, which is 501. And then they have a club tournament to see who qualifies for the Winmau Masters.
But these are happening in existing tournaments that are going on anyway, right?
Well, yeah.
Stanford's already having a tournament. They're just
it isn't like they just piggyback off existing tournaments while they're taxing them.
Yeah.
And everybody puts up with this. And maybe 20 years ago it was a great idea, right? Maybe
what should they be doing then?
Well, what the ADO should be doing is promoting is what I want to do is promote, create, and encourage opportunities for people to play darts, to play for more money, to play in better events, to play in more events, to improve their game, and to raise the level of the game to the point where we can attract major sponsorship and, media interest, i.e. television. My God, you got Honey Boo Boo on there. How many channels are there that are crying for content?
Do you think the ADO is trying to do this or has any concept of it or really could care less?
Look, you can go by what people say or you can watch what people do. I watch what the ADO does. And the fact that the ADO, now this is going to be kind of a long conversation, but what the ADO is basically a board of people that, are kind of like dealing with these they collect their taxes from all the tournaments.
Yeah.
They collect their taxes from the leagues. They collect their taxes from the players, right? And in theory, all that money goes into them running these 4 events, plus they do a couple of youth events, right? So they're doing that too. And that's all the ADO does. The other thing that they do is they're affiliated with the World Dart Federation, which is basically a secret cabal of like the BDO and the ADO who tried to fob themselves off as the rulers of everything darts and failed miserably to the point where you couldn't get darts in the Olympics in England. It's the WDF's fault.
Oh,
the WDF is Ollie Croft, who was the longtime head of the BDO, Buddy Bartoletta, who's the longtime head of the ADO. The ADO's communication guy is also the WDF's communication guy. So you have all this kind of cross-pollination.
These guys are all part of the WDF.
But they swear that, they're separate, right? So here's the deal.
Separate from what?
Separate from each other.
The ADO, the BDO, and the WDF.
Oh, yeah, they're all separate. Oh, yeah. So, like, the ADO will say, well, this is a BDO thing, and we have nothing to do with it. And the WDF will say, well, it's a BDO thing, we have nothing to do with it.
I thought the ADO
this is what they tell everybody.
BDF or BDO events.
Well, we're going to get to that. Okay. So here's the deal. So on Friday, I'm fat, dumb, and happy. I got a sandwich in front of me. I got my, Venti Misto, black eye, no foam. Going to watch the UK Open, and I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm going to watch some good darts and blah, 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 blah. I might take some notes and, for the show and stuff like that. And then I see this post about how you can you need to sign a waiver,
right,
with the BDO to get the points that you earned at some tournament that the BDO said you couldn't, they weren't going to honor because
it was a PDF event.
Right. So there's all this. There's like hundreds of Facebook posts now because the ADO's communication guy posted this on Facebook, and he's like, if you want your points, here's the waiver to sign. And I look at this waiver, and I'm like, you guys can go to ADOdarts.com and look at the waiver.
Mm-hmm.
It's got literally the logo of the ADO and the logo of the BDO side by side. Right. And I'm like, well, now this is kind of weird because, supposedly the ADO, is an independent organization, right? So here's what the ADO will tell you. The ADO will tell you that the BDO has offered the ADO a spot in the Lakeside World Championship, which runs the first or second week in January. It runs after the World Championship. After the World Championship, they have something called Lakeside, which at one time may have been a World Championship and is now the BDO Club Championship, where it's only like the top 32 people on the BDO money list and stuff. So it's not an open tournament. It's just like a little BDO Club Championship, kind of like the ADO runs, because these organizations mirror themselves to a laughable extent, right? Their board structures are the same, and their bylaws look the same, and it's like, I don't know why you would do this way, but I don't know, 20 years ago, maybe it was a good idea. 20 years ago, a lot of things were a good idea. People smoked on airplanes.
Well, what's the
anyway,
reason for having
rambling here,
like a 32-person event as opposed to an open event?
I don't know. Ask the BDO. I don't care what the BDO does.
Right.
I obviously,
but the ADO obviously is sitting there. They're like, okay, great, we get one player in.
Right.
So now they're going to piggyback.
Well, okay, so this is probably, and I tried to get the ADO on the show, and they won't come on the show because they don't want to answer questions.
Mm-hmm.
But basically what the ADO did was they decided, well, okay, what tournaments are going to qualify you for the BDO? And then they went to the tournament directors and said, hey, do you want to be a BDO-sanctioned tournament? It won't cost you a dime. And the people were like, yeah, sure, okay. So I talked to two of these tournament directors. I talked to Sue Rosano, who runs the Cleveland tournament, and I talked to a tournament director in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 7 tournaments listed. These are the 2 independent tournaments. The other tournaments are all like kind of affiliated with ADO Nationals, except for one which used to be affiliated with an ADO National. Because I tried to figure out, why would the BDO pick these tournaments? I had a lot of questions.
Did you figure it out?
Well, as it turned out, they didn't. The BDO didn't pick anything. The ADO picked them for them, to the point where Cleveland...
But they're not affiliated with the BDO.
According to the ADO, they're not affiliated with the BDO. But here's why I want the ADO board to just all resign en masse.
Mm-hmm.
Because they violated their own bylaws. My contention is, well, here are the facts, okay? So Lorette Metis, who's the acting president, she's the vice president but acting president of the ADO, contacted Sue Rosano, who runs the Cleveland tournament, and encouraged her to be a BDO-sanctioned tournament, and Sue said yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Somebody approached the Nashville director, he thinks in January, and he believes it was Buddy Bartoletta, who isn't even affiliated with the ADO anymore officially. He's on the WDF board and said, hey, do you want to be a BDO-sanctioned tournament this year? And Chuck said, yeah, since he's already a WDF-sanctioned tournament, he's already an ADO-sanctioned tournament, and he's already a NAPTA-sanctioned tournament. Why not one more? I was thinking of maybe like having Nashville a Dart Talk sanctioned tournament, but I haven't gotten that far.
Did they agree? They'll probably agree to it.
I haven't broached it with them.
They'll probably say sure.
Okay, so anyway, so this is back at the beginning of the year where these these tournaments were approached and were added to the list. But it strikes me as odd that nobody at these tournaments has talked to the BDO. So if it's a BDO thing, then what is the ADO vice president and the president or vice president, I think he's vice president of WDF, what are they doing the BDO's legwork?
Especially if they're not affiliated.
Well, yeah, from what I understand, and if you ask anybody, they'll tell you that the BDO is just a member of the WDF, and the WDF is an independent entity. That's what they'll tell you, which is a lie.
Mm-hmm.
because the WDF enforces BDO rules.
Right.
Right? So then, obviously, you're a puppet. You're a BDO puppet. Stands to reason, right? That's what you do. I don't care what you tell me. You can come on the show and lie to my face, and I'm going to call you on it.
But what you do is what you do.
Right. So, okay, so we're in the BDO, we're in the WDF bylaws. Does it say PDC players can't play? And why would you put that in there? Okay.
Check your phone.
Anyway, my phone is turned off, so you're gonna have to you're gonna have to go through the chat room if you want anything, because my phone is off. If it's really important, put that it's really important, and we'll take a break, and I'll check my phone then.
Which we really
need
to take a break right now.
Well, I'm kind of in. Okay, well, this is complicated.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so what you basically have now are tournaments that are BDO sanctioned that have had absolutely zero contact with the BDO. Now, I find that curious.
Well, yeah, that doesn't make much sense.
Right? So how, if the BDO has nothing to do with this, why would the ADO pick these particular tournaments as opposed to, say, the Syracuse Open or the Charlotte Open or Philadelphia?
Well, right. So why do they pick these ones?
Well, that's a good question. So if you look at the list, there's really no rhyme or reason, except it seems to me that there must be a reason.
Or is
that
it the only?
Picked
it's the only ones that said yes. I mean, they called Syracuse and they said no. I don't want a BDO.
Well, I couldn't get a hold of anybody from Syracuse.
So maybe these are the ones that said yes. I will be affiliated with it. Maybe it's. Well, I will make it a sanctioned event.
During the course of my conversation with the tournament director in Nashville, based on this waiver, which we haven't, have we even talked about the waiver yet? Okay, well, we'll do that after the break.
We brought it up. But
well, we'll do that after the break because
it involves the 180 rule, which we've talked about before. But
right. So here's the according to the ADO, they're just communicating to the players that there's this waiver that you have to sign to get your points, and if you play in any North American Championship Tour events, which is not what they call them, they say PDC-related events or something, then you're disqualified for getting points to qualify you for Lakeside. Okay, that's what the ADO is going to tell you that they're doing. Okay, what the ADO is in fact doing, though, and in practice, is not only are they doing the BDO's legwork and the BDO's bidding, and not only are they acting as an agent for a corporate or for an entity, the BDO, that openly discriminates against Americans. Not only is the ADO doing that, and not only are they doing the legwork for the BDO, but they're helping the BDO undercut the best thing that's happened in steel tip darts in America in a long time, and it's not the first time they've done it. Okay. Now the ADO is going to deny this.
They come back and they say we're not affiliated with the BDO.
Oh yeah.
So
we're just letting you know, kind of know what the BDO is, even though we set all this up. Now the ADO will probably argue, well, I can't get them on the show, but the only defense that they have is well, this isn't us, this is the BDO. I don't know why you're doing business with an organization that discriminates against Americans when you're the American Dart Organization, but this is what we have.
Here's a good question, though, that I would ask you. It says, why can't everyone let the players play darts and let the players be happy?
That's what I'm talking about.
But isn't it also
the ADO apparently doesn't feel that this is a good idea.
The players' stance that they should take and not be affiliated with these organizations and then they can just play and be happy, or should they be relying on an organization to do that for them? Does that make sense?
Look, as a player, you could totally just go to these tournaments and not care about any of this and just go play. You can totally do that. But there's a larger issue here. Okay? We'll get to the larger issue. We'll take our last break and then remind me that we're on this larger issue, and I'll get all this out. You're listening to Dart Talk with Mark and Steve. Quick break. We'll be right back. Okay, Dart Talk brought to you by the Dart Zone. We're here for the fourth quarter. The DartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Windy City Fabricators.
It is the fourth quarter.
And Redwood Darts. I am so sick of talking about the ADO. I am just like, we're running out of time, and I'm not even to this thing. So I'm just like, I'm so livid.
We're going to try and get through it, but look, there's a lot to talk about. And we've got 4 minutes.
Okay, 4 minutes. Okay, this is a relatively simple issue. As far as I'm concerned, if the BDO was interested in promoting darts around the world, which is principle number one in their bylaws that they don't seem to listen to, all they had to do was say, look, we're going to have one spot at Lakeside. You guys have a tournament, and the winner gets to go.
Mm-hmm.
They could have done that.
Right.
And if it turned out that the winner couldn't go because he was already qualified for the PDC tournament,
then the
runner-up would have went. How hard would that?
It seems really simple.
Now, if you really wanted to promote darts in America, imagine what would have happened with that. You'd have had a tournament with maybe a couple of hundred people going, right? What would have been wrong with that? You could have had it on a Friday before the Which City Open, right, which is in, I believe, November.
Right.
And it would have been great, which is what the ADO does anyway. They run these Friday things in conjunction with other tournaments. They totally could have done that, and then we could have sent our best player. Because the way it stands now, we're not going to send our best player because our best players are playing the North American Championship Tour, which in their infinite stupidity, the BDO is insisting that anybody who plays in a PDC-affiliated thing in North America, you can't play in Lakeside.
Right.
Because we want to make sure that Lakeside is only composed of like second-rate players.
So therefore, that's what the waiver's for. But why would anybody sign the waiver and not be able to, like, instead of just saying, okay, I want to, like you said, you should be able to play in every dart tournament that you want.
Right.
And then eventually make the decision. You can either go to one Lakeside tournament or you could go to the North American Championship Series of 8 plus the PDC, which there were 3 last year, and now what? There's 5 this year.
Well, there's more than 5. I think there's 8 plus the 2 New World Dart Series. So you got 10 events that are worth over $100,000.
Right.
Versus
which you should just be able to play into just for a monetary sake. You know, just, hey, if I can travel to them, I'm going to go there, try and play some darts, win some money.
Well, yeah. And let the chips fall where they may, and count up your points at the end and see who's on top.
But they're not allowing you to play in those because if you. But
it's not that they're not allowing you; they're forcing you to choose
between Lakeside or
what they're hoping to do is undercut the growth of these PDC events in America.
If you had 10 guys, why would 10 guys take? Like, say, would 10 guys sign that waiver and all fight for one spot at Lakeside? Or would you think, why would anybody sign this waiver? Why wouldn't those 10 guys just go, you know what, I don't care about one Lakeside tournament. Is it really that big? Or should they be more concerned with, I'd rather go play in 10 North American tournaments?
Well, again, you know, I don't fault players for making the choices that they make. Okay, I had this long Facebook conversation with Jimmy Widmer. Now, Jimmy Widmer is like, I don't want to say typical, but he's a good example of where American darters are. He came out of retirement to play a PDC event, okay? He's played BDO events. He's gone overseas and played events there. So he's played pretty much everything he can. He's in a situation where, okay, on the one side, I could try to qualify for the PDC championship, but he's too far down the list. The way the list stands now, he didn't go to Vegas for the NWDS, right? So his odds of getting by everybody on the list as far as getting into the World Championship is
slim,
almost zero.
Right.
I mean, he would literally have to win like 3 events this year. Whereas for Lakeside, according to him, he's second on the list.
Okay.
So, and then he's only got to go to a tournament in Boston and a tournament in New York, and he lives in New York, Connecticut. Boston and Connecticut, which he can drive to, and Nashville. The funny thing is I did talk to the guy in Nashville, and basically what I'm telling Nashville is that on general principle, they should tell the BDO, we don't want to be sanctioned by you. I don't understand why anybody would want to have anything to do with an organization that is intent on importing to America a feud that doesn't have anything to do with us. If the BDO has a problem with the PDC, I don't really care. I don't live in England. I don't live in Holland. I live in America. None of this has anything to do with us.
Right.
Did the BDO come to America with $500,000 and say, we are going to host a bunch of events for you guys to play in? And good luck.
No, they did not.
No, what does the BDO do? They're piggybacking just like the ADO. They piggyback off somebody else's sweat.
What was the response, though, from the guy in Nashville?
Well, he's
contemplating the fact that
he's leaning toward getting rid of the sanctioning, but because he's an honorable guy, he's like, well, I did say that I would do it, but I'm going to talk to them because things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want to be put in the middle of this weird-ass thing where you have to decide if you're going to, I'm going to play this or I'm going to sign a waiver. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. You're signing a waiver basically saying, well, if I play in these other tournaments, I'm forfeiting my points from these tournaments and la-di-da-di-da-di-da. Why don't you say we want your best player to come and play our best players?
Right.
Why don't, if the BDO was composed of men who wanted to man up and play competitive darts, that's what they would do.
And you're asking about
the 10 guys. Why would they do this? Well, okay. Now here you got a guy like Jimmy Widmeyer who's looking at the lay of the land and saying, "Well, I've got a real good chance of winning the Lakeside Invitation." He resents the fact that I call it a second-class tournament or a second-rate tournament, but it is by definition. If you have a tournament that bans the best players, you are guaranteeing yourself to have a second, if not third-rate tournament. That is, by definition, what a second-rate tournament is. That's why there are 24 or 26 events, not days, events of televised darts with the PDC, and the BDO has 2. Because nobody wants to see the second-rate stuff. They want to see the first-rate stuff.
Right.
They wanted to see second-rate stuff so they could go to the local bar and see these guys, miss 6 darts at double one. You could do that any night of the week.
Well, sure.
Why would you want to sit in front of your TV and see that unless it was your sister? I want to, my sister's on TV. Let's see if she can hit a double bull. Oh, hey, this is great. Okay, for you, it's great. For the other 10 million people who live in your country, they're going to watch something else.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't care about that. I care about America. How do we grow the sport in America where we have big money events and we have big attention and we have sports writers interviewing the players and we're so far away.
The ADO goes away?
At this point, they may as well. At this point, they're making themselves.
They don't seem to be expanding the sport of darts.
They're not doing anything except taxing the players and spending the money in some way that no one can tell because they don't publish financials. Look, I got a list of the 10 greatest sins that the ADO does, and lucky for them, we're not going to have time to do it.
What's their biggest one,
sick.
though?
Well, their biggest one is their failure to promote darts in America.
Right.
And here you had, what was the thing we had from we got the one response from the ADO. Well, I guarantee you, everyone on the board promotes darts in America.
Right.
And this is how they do it. They run around to do the BDO's work and then come up with this ridiculous waiver, which, by the way, according to the ADO bylaws, when they have policy changes, it's supposed to be approved by the board, and I don't believe the board ever met on this.
Well, because they're not.
I see no evidence.
August or something.
Well, they met in January.
Okay.
Let me tell you, the ADO is so messed up at this point. I'm to the point where I think we should just talk to tournament directors one by one and say, look, you need to just stop having your tournaments sanctioned by the ADO. I offered to sanction tournaments for $1. I'll keep track of the points. If you're worried about people getting like ADO points that don't count for anything, we'll give you Dart Talk points that, I don't know. Let me tell you, I have a feeling that what you'll see in like maybe 2 weeks is you'll see somebody like in some area of the country say, you know what, these 5 tournaments, we're going to keep track. Whoever does the best in the singles of these 5 tournaments, I'm going to give them $1,000. That's way more meaningful than anything the ADO does with their points, right? What are they trying to do? They're trying to prop up tournaments. Oh, look, I mean, I can't even I can't even list them all. We don't have time to list all the sins of the ADO. I mean, but let's just talk about promoting darts.
They don't seem to be promoting darts.
How does anything that the ADO has done and you got a guy who's on the ADO board and the WDF board. So if he does something, one day he says I'm doing it for the ADO, and then the next day he says he's doing it for the WDF. All right?
Right.
These guys are so messed up that he posts something on Facebook and then literally says, well, if you have problems, email me. Don't Facebook me because Facebook isn't official. It's like, well, you just made an official announcement on Facebook. So which is it?
Yeah.
You don't know.
But in
answer,
effect, for American darts, though, it all comes down to.
Oh my God! If these are the people that are representing American darts, maybe that's why no one takes us seriously.
Right. But you want to concentrate on, like, as a darter yourself, you want to concentrate on the PDC events and the North American Championship Series.
As a player, the only world championship is the one held by the PDC or Darts Live.
Mm-hmm.
Darts Live has a soft tip championship that I'm pretty sure I have no chance of qualifying for. But I will go play some of their events. I'll go play the stage in Vegas, and I'll go play. They have like the American Tour that we haven't really talked about. But there's an event in Madison. I'll probably go to that, and we'll see what happens. I don't really think I'm going to play enough of them to qualify to go to Hong Kong, and I'm not going to fly to Hong Kong on my own dime. But I'll play in the events, and I'll enjoy them as best I can, and I'll throw the best darts I can, and we'll let the chips fall where they may. When it comes to playing, tournaments, I'm playing the North American Championship Tour events because they're the best events in America.
That's what I'm
saying.
They're
long format singles. I don't have to find a 4-man team and a triples team and play 8 events in 2 days and all this other.
Right.
I could just go play darts. That's all I want to do, right? People talking about socializing and all this stuff, yeah, that's great. But I go to tournaments where I play 11 straight hours. I don't have much time to socialize.
Mm-hmm.
By the time the tournament's over, everyone's gone. It's Sunday. I'm in top 4. There's 8 people left. What socializing did I do?
Basically, what I get out of this whole thing is the fact of, other than maybe a certain 1-2 individuals, a Jimmy Widmer or something like that, where the chips just happen to fall best for them for Lakeside. For the most part, it's basically, there's these X amount of tournaments, 10 of them.
Well, look.
And if you can travel to them, and if you want to play darts, your best option is to completely dissolve yourself with the ADO and the BDO.
Well,
go play the PDC.
Well, no. What you do is what players do is they go and play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have to judge for yourself. If you live on the East Coast and all these other events are on the other side of the Rockies, it's pretty tempting to just play the East Coast stuff, which is what a lot of East Coast starters do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got the NWDS in New Orleans. We just had one in Vegas. You've got a PDC in Chicago and a PDC in Atlantic City and a PDC in California. I'm going to play all those. California, from what I can tell, isn't anywhere near me, and neither is Atlantic City.
No, it's not.
I think Atlantic City is a terrible venue because you can't fly there. It's like 20 miles from the nearest airport, right? I don't like playing Atlantic City, but, okay, that's where the tournament is, and, it's 2 days and the money's green, so, yeah, of course I'm going to play them.
The U.S. could have 20 BDO events. They have 8.
Look.
The minimum is 8.
What's a BDO event? You want to pay $2 so the BDO takes a sanctioning fee and then you're going to count the points? We have that already. The fact that the BDO's only coming up with this Lakeside entry now as opposed to 5 or 4 years ago is because the PDC North American Tour is doing well and getting interest and gaining momentum, and they want to undercut that because they have this thing against the PDC. That's the only explanation you can have for what's the opposite of promoting darts. That's what the BDO does.
Demoting?
Yeah, so they want to hurt the growth of darts in America, and the BDO could do whatever they want. I don't really care. It's the ADO's participation in it that bugs me.
Exactly. Right.
And to the extent that the WDF is like this ridiculous fake organization. I mean, the American Darting Organization apparently is representing American darts, and they really don't.
Right.
Right? I mean, how many
I think
people
that's the end all be all.
How many people went to the Winmar Masters qualifier in like 20 people? They had 10,000 people at the NDA tournament, which is a league soft tip tournament. It's just a league tournament. They had 10,000 people at the tournament. I guarantee you they got way more than 10,000 players if they get 10,000 at the tournament. You got the ADA has 60,000 players in I don't know how many countries. That's what they tell me. I have no way of verifying it, but that's a lot of players. So what is the ADO's claim that they represent American darts except for the fact that they say they do? That's what I want to know.
I mean,
I want to know what makes them the representatives of American darts, except that Buddy Bartoletta and Ollie Croft have agreed that they do, since Buddy came from the ADL. Because to be honest with you, they're just a little club. They don't represent the vast majority of American darters.
Where does the $2 fee go?
It goes into the ADO's pocket, and who knows what they do with it. They don't publish financials, so nobody knows. For all I know, it's goes to a roulette wheel. How would I know? I don't know.
Yeah, but
people have been asking for financials from the ADO for years and not getting them. I've had some off the record talks with the ADO about this stuff, and all I can tell you is they don't publish financials. And if you ask the ADO any sort of questions, they come off very haughty, as if somehow they're the gods.
How dare you ask?
How dare you ask us?
Yeah.
How dare
how dare
one,
you
one of the
question
ADO
what I'm
guys?
doing?
Oh, they're so funny. I heard your show. You get stuff wrong, so we don't listen. I'm like, okay, don't listen.
Yeah.
I don't care. What do you get right?
Well, if we get it wrong, wouldn't you want to at least try and
Oh, no.
correct
Let
us?
me tell you, nobody in the ADO would have the nerve to come on this show live and talk because they know they're wrong. They know they're in an indefensible position. Look, David Haskup's the communications director of the ADO.
I would contend that they do listen, because if they're going to keep saying we have
they
stuff
say they
wrong,
don't. Yeah, everybody.
then they have to keep listening, because otherwise they wouldn't know we got anything wrong.
Everybody says they don't listen to this show, and yet they do.
Yeah.
So we're
How do you know
grateful.
we got it
we're,
wrong?
we're grateful for our listeners. But let me tell you, I've invited David Haskup on the show. I've invited the ADO guys on the show. Apparently, nobody has time to come on the show. And to be honest with you, none of them have the nerve to come on the show and face the questions that I would be asking, which is, why is the ADO's communication director running around to tournaments for the BDO?
Right.
Why would the WDF be arranging this for the BDO? Why isn't the BDO picking up the phone doing this? And why are you enabling the BDO to do this? And if their argument is, well, this is for, the benefit of American darts, nobody's going to believe that.
Right.
That's a bald-faced lie. And if they believe it, they should resign just because they just have no clue.
Right.
But the idea that the ADO is actively undercutting efforts to grow darts in America is the reason that they should resign. And to be honest with you, I don't see how the ADO can claim that they represent American darts. They don't represent any American darts that I see.
That's what our contention
They
is.
represent their own interests.
Right.
They represent their own interests in the
We don't believe they
interests
represent
of their
American
players,
darts.
which aren't many, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have some leagues that are ADO affiliated leagues. They're very small. They spend their money. They give it to the ADO. They run their ADO regionals. They send people to the ADO's club finals, and that's great. If they want to do that, that's fine. But don't fob yourself off as representing American darts when you don't. The problem is we don't have anybody to represent American darts. We don't have an organization that represents Scotty Kirchner, who's a soft tipper, and Jim Widmeyer, who's a steel tipper.
Do you think the people from the BDO
Johnny
are telling
Bagali,
the ADO
who's a recreational player in Missouri? Right. We don't have anybody who represents them truly.
Do you think the people from the BDO are telling the people at the ADO this is what you need to do because they're trying to strong arm and fight with the
think
PDF or the
well,
PDC?
this is Look, corruption comes on many levels. Okay, if your bylaws say that you want to promote darts and your purpose as an organization is to promote darts, and your sole purpose lately is to undercut promoting darts, you're a corrupt organization.
Right.
If you take money from people and don't give anything back, you're a corrupt organization.
Well, I agree with that.
If you lie and just lie to people about what you're doing, you're a corrupt organization. Okay, if you're ripping off money, you're a corrupt organization. I mean, corruption comes on many levels, okay? Blackmail, influence, all these things. I posted it was kind of a joke, but I posted I forget the name of it, these two laws. There's a bribery law in England, and then there's the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act in America, where you're trying, because there's been so many of these kind of weird international deals with people and bribing public officials to get contracts and all that. They had to write a new law. But the laws are broad enough to include the collusion between the WDF, the ADO, and the BDO. The fact that they're colluding to undercut, what they consider PDC events, but what I consider opportunities to play.
Exactly.
I don't care who's hosting the event. I only care that it's there and I can make it.
Right.
And that's what every American darter believes. No American darter is for this. No American darter wants to import a feud between the PDC and the BDO.
No, I can't imagine. Why would you? It makes no sense.
But the problem is that American darters don't have anything to go behind. You have the ADO, but there's nothing else. They're the only thing there. Well, so if we create something else, which I promised 3 weeks ago, we talk about the ideal organizational structure where this wouldn't happen again. If you're going to create a new...
But in the long run, if you're just following the NACT and the PDF or the PDC, then isn't that enough?
Well, you could play any tournament you want. You could still go and play another tournament. They just won't count your points toward Lakeside.
So
who
cares?
Who cares?
Right.
That's exactly the point.
Who cares?
So for most players, none of this really matters. The principle is what matters.
Yes, I agree with that.
Because if you have organizations that are making decisions based on stuff like this, you're doomed.
Well,
right?
Not saying the organization should stick around, but
we'll have to cut it short. We'll talk next week. Oh God. Well, no, because there is a structure to an organization that you can structure an organization where this never happens again, and whatever comes out of this. If the ADO goes away or whatever, or if it just gets reduced in size or whatever, you need an organization that's going to be responsive to the needs of the players and will genuinely promote the sport. So we'll talk about that next week, because I did do some research on this, and I think we've got a pretty good way of doing it, where all the stakeholders are involved in making decisions, and you don't have this secret cabal, I'm in for life, we vote for each other, a stupid organization like the ADO, which is modeled after the BDO, actually. And it's easy for the PDC. They're a private for-profit corporation, so it's profits that drive your decisions, right? When you have like a nonprofit thing where people are in it for their own glorification and people who are like into having, whatever power they think they have, right? You end up with problems. And look at anybody's bad dart league. Where you get the wrong people in charge. Look how quick a dart league goes downhill. Right? So we have a way of fixing that. We'll talk about it next week. Let's get out of here. Thanks for listening, everybody. I know we're rambling today, but I don't want to talk about this anymore. And we didn't even talk about this waiver and stuff. I mean,
we touched on the waiver, but
this may come up next week. It may not. I'm sick of talking about it. But the revolution will not be televised, but it will be on the internet. It'll be a pod. The revolution won't be televised, but it will be a podcast.
You're supposed to wish somebody a happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, somebody then.
Connor,
happy birthday, Connor. Thanks for listening. And just a reminder, next week will be Tuesday, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern.
Correct.
And 11:30 in England.
Yeah, 5:30 Pacific.
6 hours. No, 1:30 in the morning in England.
All right.
So you stay up late when the bars close. You can listen to the show.
The bars close at 1:30 in England?
Well, I thought they closed at 1. How would I know?
I'm assuming they're open till like 6 in the morning.
We'll be back next week. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And everybody take care. Safe travels. And we'll talk to you soon.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.